My wife cheated on me with her boss, stole $250, $0 from our joint account, and now she's suing me to claim the house I inherited worth over $500, $0. I just found out she's been planning this the entire time. Hello everyone. Dear listeners, please share your thoughts in the comments section below. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Now, let's begin the video. Using a throwaway for obvious reasons, with certain specifics modified to preserve anonymity. I never thought I'd be the guy to get like this. Everything seemed fine, at least on the surface. My wife was always a little bitchy, always throwing fits over the dumbest things, but she was beautiful and I loved her. We'd been married for nearly 10 years, and honestly, I thought we had a solid life. She was the kind of woman who'd pretend to be sweet in public but then turn around and stab you in the back if she thought she could get away with it. The first signs of trouble started a few months ago. She'd become distant, secretive even. She'd spend hours on her phone, whispering into it, typing furiously. I noticed. She was more irritable, snapping at me over small stuff, but I figured it was just stress from work or whatever. She was a high-powered executive, always busy, always on the go. Still, it felt like there was something she wasn't telling me. Then I caught her lying about her whereabouts. She'd say she was at a business trip, but I'd find out she was at some fancy restaurant with her boss. She'd come home smelling like perfume I didn't recognize and would get defensive if I asked about it. She'd brush me off, call me paranoid or insecure. I didn't want to believe it, but the pieces started adding up. One night I decided to check her phone when she went to bed early. I didn't want to snoop, but I was desperate for answers. That's when I found the messages. They weren't subtle, flirty, suggestive texts, even explicit stuff. She was talking about sex with, how much she loved the thrill, how she couldn't wait to see him again. My stomach dropped. I felt like I'd been punched in the gut. It wasn't just an affair. It was like she was proud of it, flaunting it in my face. I didn't sleep that night. When she woke up, I confronted her. I didn't hold back. I showed her the messages, the pictures she'd sent, the texts. Her face went pale, then she started lying, saying it was just sex, that it didn't mean anything, that was just a business acquaintance she was trying to get ahead with. She looked me dead in the eyes and lied, again, like she always did. I felt everything crash down inside me. Anger, humiliation, heartbreak. I'd always trusted her, believed in our marriage, and now I saw her for what she really was, a manipulative, selfish woman who lied to my face. That's when I knew I had to dig deeper. I started looking into her finances, her emails, everything. Turns out I wasn't the only one she'd been lying to. She stolen $250, $0 from our joint account. Just took it like it was nothing. She planned to run away with, I'm sure of it now. And she was also trying to claim the house I inherited, worth over $500,000 in her name. That's where I am now. Shocked, furious, betrayed. She's actually suing me for the house, saying I'm trying to cheat her out of her rightful share. She's lying about everything, spinning her web of deceit. The worst part, I found out she's been planning this all along. She's been pretending to be the perfect wife, all the while scheming to take everything I have. I feel like I've been played for a fool. I don't even recognize the woman I married anymore. After I discovered all of this, I honestly felt like I was in some kind of nightmare. It was like my entire world had collapsed in an instant. I couldn't believe it. My wife of nearly 10 years was cheating on me with her boss, and she'd been planning to take everything I had. The money she stole, the house I inherited, everything was suddenly up for grabs in her twisted game. I spent days just staring at the wall, trying to process what I'd found out, but the anger kept boiling under the surface. The first time I confronted her after I found out about the affair and the theft, she was already acting like she was the victim. She sat there, with that bitchy smirk she always had, and told me I was overreacting. "You're just insecure," she said, rolling her eyes. "And I are just working together, and the money, it's nothing. You're making a big deal out of nothing." I couldn't believe the audacity of her lying so blatantly, like she thought I was stupid. She looked me dead in the eyes and just dismissed everything like she was untouchable. I remember feeling this boiling mix of rage and heartbreak. I wanted to scream at her, to shake her, but I kept my cool, at least on the outside. Inside, I was raging. How could she be so callous? How could she lie to my face so effortlessly? It was like she was proud of what she was doing, like she thought she was smarter than everyone else. I knew I couldn't trust her anymore, and I knew I had to do something. I couldn't just let her walk away with everything I'd built, especially after she stole that money. So I started planning. I knew I couldn't trust her with the truth, not yet. I needed to gather evidence, figure out exactly how much she'd taken, and what her next move was. I hired a private investigator to follow her around, and I started digging into her financial accounts myself. I found more than I expected: emails, bank transfers, even some secret accounts she'd set up. She was serious about this, about taking everything I had and running. It was all laid out in front of me now. Her plan to leave, her plan to take the house, her plan to steal my money and run off with. Meanwhile, kept up the act of the perfect wife. She'd come home late, smell like perfume, and then get defensive when I'd ask her where she'd been. She'd spin stories about meetings, dinners, important business stuff. But I knew better. I saw through her lies. I saw the way she looked at when she thought I wasn't watching. I saw the little signs that told me she'd been planning this for months. It was like I'd been blind until now, and suddenly everything was crystal clear. The worst part: she's now suing me for the house I inherited, claiming I'm trying to cheat her out of her fair share. I know she's lying, that she's trying to spin the story in her favor. But it's just another part of her game. She's always been good at playing the victim, at twisting things around to make herself look innocent. But I won't let her get away with it. I've got the evidence, I've got witnesses, and I've got the truth on my side. Honestly, I don't know what's worse: losing the money, losing the house, or losing the woman I once thought I knew. Every day feels like I'm walking through a minefield, waiting for the next bombshell. I keep asking myself how I missed all the signs, how I didn't see her true face sooner. But I guess it's just one of those things you never expect to happen until it's right in front of you. And now, I'm stuck trying to pick up the pieces of what's left of my life, trying to figure out what comes next. The more I dug into her affairs, the more I realized just how deep the rabbit hole went. Had been planning this for months, maybe even longer. It was like she had a whole blueprint ready: fake documents, false accounts, and a web of lies that she spun so tightly I wondered how I ever missed it. I found emails where she was negotiating with about splitting the money, about how they'd hide the affair, about the house and the inheritance. She was meticulous, cold, and calculating. It was like she had been living a double life, and I was just the last to find out. When I confronted her again, she was even more dismissive. She told me I was overreacting, that I was paranoid, that she still loved me. She said was just a business partner, that I was imagining things. That was her favorite line: "You're overthinking it." But I was. I knew what I saw, and I knew what I felt. That sickening feeling in my gut told me everything I needed to know. She was lying, and she was lying because she was caught in her own web of deceit. The money was the biggest shock. I discovered that she had drained our joint account of $250, $0. That's $250,000 gone. She transferred it to a series of offshore accounts, moved it around so I wouldn't find it easily. I couldn't believe she'd steal that much, knowing how much it meant to me. How much it could have helped us, secured our future, paid for our kids' college. It was like she didn't care at all. To her, money was just another weapon, another way to get what she wanted. And then I found out about the house. The inheritance I got after my father passed away. It's worth over $500, $0, and she's now trying to claim it. She filed a lawsuit saying I was trying to cheat her out of her rightful share. That's her favorite line, by the way: my rightful share. Like she'd earned it, like she was entitled to everything I had. She's been spinning this story that I was controlling, that I was trying to keep her away from her due. But the truth is, she's just trying to take everything I built. She's trying to erase me from her life and replace me with, all while pretending to be innocent. I never thought I'd be in a situation where I'd have to fight for my own house, my own money, against the woman I married. But here I am. I've hired a lawyer and we're preparing for the court battle. I've got all the evidence: bank statements, emails, witness testimonies. I want everyone to see who she really is. The woman who pretended to be my wife but was secretly working against me all along. What hurts the most isn't just the betrayal, though. It's how she lied so effortlessly, how she manipulated everyone around her. She's good at acting innocent, at playing the victim. She's been telling her friends and family that I'm the bad guy, that I'm controlling and jealous. Meanwhile, she's out there sleeping with her boss, stealing from us, planning her escape. I feel like I've been played for a fool, like I was blind the entire time. Every day now is a battle. I wake up feeling sick, knowing that the woman I loved has turned into this cold, calculating person who only cares about herself. I keep asking myself how I missed all the signs, how I didn't see her true colors sooner. But I guess love makes you blind sometimes. Or maybe I just didn't want to see it. Either way, I'm trying to pick up the pieces, trying to figure out what's next. The betrayal runs so deep I wonder if I'll ever trust anyone again. But I know I have to stay strong for myself, for my kids, and for whatever justice I can get out of this mess. By now, I had all the pieces laid out in front of me: her emails, bank transfers, the lawyer's reports, the evidence of her affair. I couldn't believe I'd been so naive. Had been planning this entire thing for months, maybe even longer. She'd carefully crafted her lies and manipulations, all while pretending to be the loving wife. I kept thinking about the moments I missed, the signs I ignored, and how she always had a quick excuse ready whenever I brought up her strange behavior. The day I finally sat down with my lawyer was a turning point. We went over everything: her theft, her affair, the lawsuit she filed to claim the house. My lawyer told me I had a solid case. The evidence of her stealing money was irrefutable, and her attempts to claim the house she had no right to were based on lies. I felt a mixture of relief and anger. Relief because I finally had proof, and anger because she'd gone so far to destroy everything we built. The confrontation with came soon after. I called her into the living room, told her I knew everything about her affair with, the money she stole, her plans to take the house. Her reaction was classic. She started crying, claiming I was overreacting, that I was controlling, that she only did it because I was so distant. She said she was under a lot of stress, and that was just a distraction. She looked me dead in the eyes and said she loved me, that she never meant for all this to happen. I was furious. I told her she was a liar, that she'd been planning her escape the entire time. I told her I knew about the offshore accounts, about the stolen money, about her lawsuit. I showed her the evidence on my phone, the emails, the bank statements. Her face twisted into a sneer. Then she started screaming at me, calling me paranoid and jealous. She said I was ruining her life, that she deserved more, that she was entitled to the house because she was married to me. It was sickening, her acting like a victim when she was the one who betrayed and stole from me. The emotional toll was overwhelming. I went from feeling heartbreak to pure rage in a matter of seconds. I felt betrayed, humiliated, and disgusted. How could she do this? How could she lie so effortlessly? I realized I was mourning the woman I thought I knew, but she was nothing like that. She was a manipulative, selfish woman who only cared about herself. The worst part was knowing she had been planning to leave me with nothing. No money, no house, no marriage. She was willing to destroy everything just to get her way. Despite everything, I decided I wasn't going to let her win. I told her the truth. I was fighting back, and I was going to protect what was mine. I wasn't going to let her take my inheritance, my savings, or my home. I had the evidence, and I was prepared to go to court. I told her I'd see her in court, and I would make sure the truth came out. She looked at me with that bitchy smirk, trying to act like she still had control, but I saw through it. I knew I was stronger than her lies. That night I couldn't sleep. I kept replaying everything: her lies, her betrayal, the moment I saw her with the stolen money. I felt like I was living someone else's nightmare. I realized that I was going to have to rebuild my life from this chaos, but for now, I was just trying to stay sane. The betrayal had cut so deep I wondered if I'd ever trust anyone again. But I also knew I had to stay strong for myself and for my kids. They deserved better than this mess. And I was determined to fight for what was rightfully mine, no matter how much she tried to tear me down. The days that followed were a blur of meetings, legal battles, and trying to keep everything together. I spent every waking moment poring over documents, contacting my lawyer, and trying to piece together what had been planning all along. It was clear she had been orchestrating her escape for months, selling off assets, laundering money, even setting up fake accounts so she could transfer the stolen $250, $0 without raising suspicion. I found evidence of her contacting almost daily, making plans to run away together, to start fresh somewhere she could finally be free of me and everything we had. I also started to realize the full scope of her manipulation. She lied about her whereabouts, about her feelings, about her intentions. She played the innocent victim when in reality, she was the mastermind behind this entire scheme. That realization hurt the most, knowing I had been blind to her true nature for so long. It's one thing to be betrayed. It's another to feel like I'd been played for a fool, like I'd been blind to the woman I married. Meanwhile, she kept up her act in front of our friends and family, spinning stories about how I was controlling and jealous, how she was just trying to do the right thing. She painted herself as the victim, the one who was trapped in a marriage she no longer wanted. It made me sick. I knew the truth, and I knew that she was just trying to save her own skin. I even caught her trying to hide certain documents, shredding some papers, trying to cover her tracks. I had the evidence and I made sure my lawyer had everything he needed. Then came the court date. It was a brutal process. His lawyer tried to spin her as the victim, claiming I was trying to unfairly take her share of the house and her supposed rights. But my lawyer had everything: proof of her theft, her affair, her plans to run away, witnesses about her behavior, her lies, her manipulation. I sat there listening to her try to deny everything, but her words sounded hollow and desperate. I saw her eyes darting around, trying to find a way out, but it was too late. The judge looked at all the evidence and listened to both sides. It was clear she was trying to claim the house, but I argued that I had inherited it legally and that theft and deception invalidated her claims. I made it clear she had been planning her escape from the beginning and that her actions showed a pattern of betrayal. In the end, the court sided with me on the house. Her claim was dismissed, and I retained ownership of my inheritance. The judge also ordered her to return the stolen money, which was a relief, but it didn't erase the damage she'd already done. Watching her face as the judge announced the verdict was both satisfying and sickening. She looked defeated, but I knew her ego was too big to admit she'd lost. She started crying, claiming I was ruining her life, that I was the bad guy. But I just sat there, exhausted, knowing I'd fought with everything I had. I felt a strange mix of relief and emptiness. Relief because I finally had some justice, but emptiness because I'd lost the woman I once loved and trusted. The betrayal had shattered everything, and I wasn't sure if I'd ever recover from it. Now I'm trying to rebuild. I've moved out of the house, started therapy, and cut all ties with. I'm focusing on my kids, on my work, on trying to make sense of the chaos she left behind. I learned that trust is fragile and that some people will do anything to get what they want, even if it means destroying others in the process. My advice to anyone reading this: watch out for the signs, but also don't ignore your instincts. If something feels off, it probably is. And if you find yourself betrayed like I was, remember, you're stronger than you think. Fight for what's yours and never let anyone take away your dignity. Looking back now, I realize how much this whole ordeal changed me. I used to believe in the idea of forever, in the vows we took, in the trust that was supposed to bind us. But now I see that sometimes people hide who they really are behind masks of charm and lies. Was that kind of person beautiful, manipulative, completely self-centered? I can't say I'm glad it happened, but I do know I've learned a lot about myself through this hell. One thing I've come to understand is the importance of boundaries and listening to that little voice inside. I wish I had paid more attention to the signs, but I also accept that love can blind you sometimes. Still, never ignore your gut. If something feels wrong, it probably is. I also learned that no matter how much you love someone, if they're capable of betrayal and deception, you have to prioritize your own safety and well-being. Protect yourself first. The hardest part was coming to terms with the fact that I was betrayed not just by, but by the person I thought I knew inside and out. It's a painful realization that the person you trust the most can turn out to be the one who's been scheming behind your back. But I've also learned that you can survive it. I've spent months rebuilding my life from the ground up, and I'm finally starting to feel like I'm getting my footing again. To others out there who might be going through something similar, my advice is simple. Don't be afraid to face the truth, no matter how ugly it might be. Gather your evidence, stand your ground, and fight for what's rightfully yours. Don't let anyone, no matter how manipulative, take away your dignity or your future. Trust is fragile, but your strength is. I've come out of this with scars, sure, but also with a clearer understanding of who I am. I won't let betrayal define me, and I refuse to live in fear of being hurt again. Life goes on, and so do I. I'll rebuild what I lost, learn from my mistakes, and move forward. Because at the end of the day, the most important thing is to stay true to yourself, no matter how much the world tries to break you.